Hello and welcome. It's 1 p.m. India time or 7:30 GMT. First up, news from South Asia. Now, the World Health Organization report on the quality of air features 14 Indian cities on top of its list as the most polluted. Kanpur, a North Indian city, leads the pack of polluted Indian cities. And there are 13 Indian cities that follow Kanpur: Faridabad, Varanasi, Gaya, Patna, Delhi, Lucknow, Agra, Muzaffarpur, Srinagar, Gurgaon, Jaipur, Patiala and Jodhpur. Now, neighboring China, on the other hand, has shown signs of improvement. Beijing has bolstered its anti-pollution measures. In 2013, for example, as many as 16 Chinese cities were among the global top 20 most polluted cities in the world. And now there are only 4. All right, joining me live is Chandra Bhushan, Deputy Director General of the Center for Science and Environment. Good afternoon to you. Welcome on WION. I want to begin by asking you for your initial reaction to this WHO report, which paints an alarming picture of air pollution in India in particular.
I'm not surprised with this report. I can nitpick part of the report, but the overall conclusion of the report is sound. Air pollution is a major challenge across the world. It's a challenge in India. We know about this. But I'm not very convinced about the ranking they have given about polluted cities in India. But overall, I think it's a well-researched and pretty much an acceptable report.
Right. So just to get a sense, Mr. Chandra Bhushan, what is India doing wrong and what is China doing right, if I were to ask you for your opinion?
India is doing nothing and China is doing something. I think that's the difference. I don't think that we have internalized the challenges of air pollution, the challenges it poses to our health, the health of our children and elderly. It has huge health burden. I don't think that the government and the society at large has internalized the challenges of air pollution. And therefore, the actions are not taking place on the ground. As far as China is concerned, China has taken concrete actions, both in terms of reducing pollution from industries, from transport sector, improving greeneries in their cities. They have taken some pretty impressive steps to reduce air pollution. Unfortunately, we have not.
Mr. Chandra Bhushan, now India has managed this dubious distinction now on the world map. How is this going to impact India's image around the world?
Well, frankly speaking, this is not the first time that the news of air pollution in India has hit the international headlines. Delhi was, I think, for consecutively a few years, the most polluted city in the world. So the global community knows the air pollution challenges in India. The issue is that do we know? I think that's much bigger problem that we have. I think we have to internalize this challenge. We have to accept that this is a problem and then move ahead.
And very quickly, Mr. Chandra Bhushan, now you said China is doing something, but India is doing nothing. Now, in terms of solutions, we've diagnosed the problem. Let's think of solutions now. What do you recommend the government and people in India do to curb the menace of air pollution?
Multiple things. For example, transport sector is a significant source of pollution. There is some action taking place there in terms of improving the emission standards of vehicles, but that's not going to be sufficient. We have to invest enormously in public transport, improve our road infrastructure and public infrastructure. As far as industries are concerned, thermal power plant continues to be a major source of pollution. Unfortunately, the government of India has extended the deadline of coal-based power plants meeting the standard by close to 5 years. So for the next 5 years, that is going to remain a major source of pollution. Industrial pollution will remain significantly high. Crop burning is a major issue. Frankly, we have a list of things that we can do. Most of us know it. Government knows it. This has been discussed, many times in Supreme Court. Supreme Court is looking after, is addressing the issue of air pollution. But unless and until there is a concrete plan which says that I'm going to do these things in next 3 months, and next 6 months, and next 12 months, it will remain a talk shop. So I think there's a list of agenda that is already available with the government to move ahead on air pollution issues.
Mr. Chandrabhushan, please stay on. You've spoken about transport and energy. I want to take a look at public health as well. Now, air pollution is killing 7 million people every year, with most residing in poor countries in Asia and Africa. In fact, 9 out of 10 people on the planet breathe polluted air. Now, these numbers come from the latest data on air pollution released by the World Health Organization. It says that about a quarter of deaths from heart disease, stroke and lung cancer can be attributed to air pollution. Now, indoor air pollution has gotten worse over the years. People in many poorer countries continue to cook with solid fuel or kerosene instead of cleaner fuels such as gas or electricity. Now, women and children are the most at risk.
We have in our estimates of 7 million deaths caused by exposure to air pollution. We know that 4.2 million are due to exposure to outdoor air pollution, what we call ambient air pollution. So it's related to what we do at the urban level. While 3.8 million deaths are associated to the fact that many people around the world is still relying on very polluting fuels for cooking or heating or lighting their houses at the household level.
Mr. Chandrabhushan, if I can come to you one more time. Now, that's a public health scare, isn't it?
Absolutely. 7 million people dying across the world. I think a significant number comes from India. It's a public health scandal. I think, think about if 7 million people, this is a scandal, and people should know about this scandal.
And who is responsible for this scandal, Mr. Bhushan?
I think larger society. The government can only take action till the society also wants to take action. I mean to say, everyone in Delhi knows that our air is toxic and noxious, but how many of us are willing to take public transport and put pressure on our government to improve public transport infrastructure? So as I said, I started by saying that we need to internalize the problem of air pollution. Unfortunately, the society has not, and therefore the government is not taking much action.
Right. Mr. Bhushan, do stay on. We've discussed energy, we've discussed transportation, we've discussed public health. There's a fourth dimension to this narrative. That's our heritage, monuments. Now, India's iconic monument of love and UNESCO's World Heritage Site, the Taj Mahal, is losing its sheen. The monument's facade is reportedly turning pale. Growing concerns over the changing color has led the Supreme Court of India to ask the federal government to hire experts to restore the pristine glory of the Mughal-era monument. A bench of justices raised their concern, though it's not the first time they've done so. In 1984, Advocate M.C. Mehta filed a petition drawing the court's attention to the deteriorating condition of the Taj Mahal. Now, the historic monument was built by Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan in the memory of his wife Mumtaz Mahal in 1631. Now, Mehta claimed that excessive water and air pollution, clogged drains and industries around the site had led to the deterioration. Also, a river flowing nearby is exceedingly contaminated. All of it collectively was doing serious harm to the UNESCO World Heritage Site. Mr. Bhushan, if I can come to you one last time on this issue, what's the way out? I mean, we've diagnosed the problem, the challenges. What can we collectively as a government and people do to address some of these issues?
I think as far as Taj Mahal is concerned, there was some action taken in early 80s and early 90s, late 80s and early 90s, and we shifted industries from there. Also, there was a pollution control on Mathura refinery at that point of time. But the pollution because of vehicular emission and other things in Agra is extremely high, and that is now impacting the marble of Taj Mahal. So we will have to clean up the air quality in Agra if we really want to protect that important monument. As far as I started by saying, the Ministry of Environment and Forest has just recently released a National Action Plan on air pollution. It's an extremely weak plan. It doesn't tell us what they want to do and what is the time frame. The money put behind air pollution control is extremely low. So the government has to come out with tangible and significant plan if it really wants to control air pollution. And as I said, society will have to, it's not going to be easy. We in Delhi, for example, we have a habit of driving our own cars. I think that habit will have to change. So society will have to adapt to the changing scenario because pollution is killing people now. So both at the social level as well as at the government level, significant action will have to be taken.
Mr. Bhushan, in conclusion, you've raised some very valid points. Now, it's easy to blame the government for all the ills, but what can you and what can the people watching us on WION this moment do in our everyday life to combat, in our own small way, combating air pollution?
As I said, we will have to start talking about walking, cycling, taking public transport, because transport sector is a significant contributor to pollution. We'll have to work with farmers in the country to make sure that we have a sustainable solution on crop residue burning. Similarly, industries we have to put a strict enforcement mechanism to make sure that industries are not polluting. We need an aware citizenry to take these actions. There are a lot of things that we can do on our own, and we need support of the government to make it happen.
Right. So as Mr. Chandrabhushan says, bicycle to work, or better still, walk to work. Don't drive as much as we all do. On that note, Mr. Bhushan, thank you so much for joining me on this bulletin. I appreciate it.